Thanks for tuning in to the Urban Scope podcast. And of course, I'm back with another hip hop topic, especially with all the drama and headlines surrounding 50 Cent right now. And it was a topic that a lot of people are starting to bring up. And I want to see, I was just thinking on this and thinking if there's any validity to the narratives that are surrounding 50 Cent right now. Because a lot of time in hip hop, we have to look within to figure out who's the problem and what is the problem. Because it's easy to say what the outside problems are, right? Not enough support, the way that hip hop is viewed, the perception around hip hop, the narrative surrounding hip hop, the misnomers or the prejudices against hip hop or just rap music or black people in general, right? That's the easy things to do. But when you look from within the narratives that are going around now, especially with the drama with 50 Cent and T.I. and how 50 Cent attacks, T.I.'s family and these different things that are going around. Now, T.I.'s son, Damani, dropped a very impactful Kendrick Lamar, J. Cole, Andre 3000 like diss record toward 50 Cent that was very classy and had a very unique perspective, especially from a young man at his age, with so to speak, the lack of experiences that he's probably had in life already. But it seems like he's very experienced on things and very knowledgeable about the atmosphere or climate surrounding 50 Cent. So it made me think about this as a 38-year-old man, listen to this 24-year-old be so perspective and insightful about someone. And he broke them down to a T. And I think there's some validity to what people are saying the narrative around 50 Cent is. And is he destroying hip hop in the black community? And now, P. Diddy aside, because his crimes were his crimes and he did what he's done. So anything that comes after that was just part of the course. So, other than Diddy's situation and how 50 did the documentary and mocked him and continues to do so today, um, he's been tearing apart the black community and hip hop. Now, let me count the ways. Now, I'm a fan of 50 Cent, so this is coming from an unbiased standpoint because I watch all of the power shows that he has on Stars. I watch pretty much every movie he's been in. I support all of his projects and things like that. But from a hip hop perspective and from the black community perspective, it's been very uh, just looking on it now and just analyzing the moves that he's made. It's been very damaging for the community, and especially the genre. So I was thinking about some of the most influential people that we have in hip hop. P Diddy aside, of course. Um, 50 Cent has attempted to tarnish them all. So let me count the ways. And of course, this is without the exception of Snoop Dogg, Dr. Dre, and Eminem, who was all a part of his signing or was on a label with him or he still makes money through or has affiliation with. He's never really torn those guys down despite having similarities to other people that he's frowned upon. So it's very unique in that way, but I get it. He made money with these guys. These guys put him on. You don't want to bite the hand that feeds you, so to speak. So he's at least not have done that to those 3 guys because of what they've meant to his career and what his life and been able to get more money and things like that. But when you think about moguls that we have, like a Jay-Z, Jay-Z has, to my knowledge, only responded to 50 Cent once. Uh, but 50 Cent continues to banter him, bring mentions that he was in the Epstein files, but he doesn't talk, 50 Cent surprisingly doesn't bring up the Epstein files itself and the damage it's done to to the world and to people. But he only wants to talk about Jay Z's involvement to bring him down. Now, some people can say the narrative is maybe he's trying to get rid of these people so he can be the sole star and he can get more money and take their shares and stuff like that. But it's not appearing to work with Jay Z. He doesn't even respond to most of this stuff, so it's not really working on that aspect. But he's tried to tear down Jay Z, despite Jay Z hasn't had much response from him. Another hip hop mogul that he attempted to tarnish, but it didn't work, is Nas. I'm not sure why he beefed with Nas, but he went after his wife at the time, who was Khalees. He's made several diss records against him. Nas had a phenomenal diss record back to him called Queens Get the Money, where he shot a couple lines at 50 Cent and the G Unit. But Nas is one of those untouchable figures in hip hop who is probably the most influential and the most important hip hop piece to my life, because what Illmatic meant and what his discography meant as an artist, and his able to be, his ability to be a conscious artist but still make the mainstream is just a unique skill set that most don't have. He didn't have to beef with people just to make a career. Way before the Jay Z beef, he had a career, and it was much that was later in his career. So he didn't make a career off beef, similar to what 50 did. Um, Kendrick Lamar. Now, this wasn't a direct beef with Kendrick Lamar because they were on the same label, but he did publicly side with Drake in a way when the Drake and Kendrick beef happened. And a lot of people wondered about that, and it looked a little weird, especially with both of you guys having a Dr. Dre affiliation. Both of you guys were signed by Dr. Dre. Both of you guys, were in the same label with Interscope at some point. So it looked very weird. But it's another one of those pieces where it seemed like he was throwing shots or trying to be subliminal with the disses with Kendrick Lamar. Lil Wayne, he called Lil Wayne a song whore for doing all these different features and being everywhere in that 2008 period. So he sent shots at Lil Wayne. Lil Wayne sent shots back. But he was one of those. Lil Wayne is another one of those people that he tried to tarnish their career. Um, and it's just been a growing trend with 50 Cent. Of course, Ja Rule probably the most damage from the 50 Cent um, antics or memes that he's been doing. Um, 50 started a career off his beef with Ja Rule and that Wankster video and what he was able to do. He was popular in New York, but when he first got his major deal, one of the first things he did was dedicate pretty much a whole album to dissing Ja Rule and Murder Inc., which I have another segment coming out later of why we owe Ja Rule an apology because of the fake image that 50 gave us and everything that pursued after that, which Ja Rule talked about on several interviews in the last couple of years, because we know that Ja Rule sent the industry in a frenzy. He was all over the radio. He was getting crazy sales. He was writing records for everybody, and 50 coming out stopped that momentum. And we know Ja Rule would have had leverage in the industry similar to what a Drake would have, or what a Jay Z would have, or Lil Wayne back in his prime would have had. So all of that leverage just went away because of the 50 crisis. Of course, 50 had a beef with Fat Joe and Jadakiss because they jumped on the song New York with Ja Rule, just for simply making a song with Ja Rule, even though they wasn't directly dissing 50, but he thought they were helping him. So that was just one of those petty ways. And a lot of things that 50 done has been petty, and most people admired that because they want to reach that level of pettiness, but nobody actually has the conscience to do that because it takes a special mind to do that. And I don't mean special in a good way. It's kind of psychotic, how he goes at people with just the things he does, because the pettiness has went too far, and it just seems like a damaged person at this point. And most of us sided with 50 in his beefs because we were bamboozled and we was tricked by the smoke and mirrors of thinking that this guy was hip hop and he wanted to do great music. And a lot of people say, well, the best way to beat 50 Cent is to make diss songs. But people say on the opposite side of that is 50 is not a rapper anymore and he's just not going to come back with a rap disc or make any music, which is a cop out, because if you're still that guy and you still considered one of the greatest of all time, which I'll probably say he'll probably be top 20 easily. But if you're that guy and you still have it, you can make diss songs or don't call out rappers who rap, because they're not going to make a movie to diss you or make a TV show to diss you. They, like Ti said, I'm a rapper. I'm not a meme. I don't make memes. I rap. So um, that what makes this thing even more interesting, because if you want to blame anybody for the fall of hip hop, you can probably blame 50 for that because of the divide and conquer tactics that he had with so many different artists and so many people in the industry, that it created that divide and it created things like drill music and mumble rap and or emerged mumble rap and things like that because people started to follow that same route. And when you look at the industry now, how do people jumpstart their marketing tours or how everything is a marketing ploy now or everything is a rollout, so to speak. It's because of what 50 did. He had one of the biggest rollouts of all time, dissing Ja Rule, who was the top of the top at the time. He was the Drake before Drake. Uh, he couldn't sing like Drake, but he had the songs with the ladies and had the ballad songs with the rap twist on them. He was doing that, you know, after Lauryn Hill, but he was the first male rapper to really do follow that pedigree. So um 50 led everybody down to this path to beef with people just to get where you need to go, whether it be real or fake. It was just a terrible formula for hip hop, and I think it led to the destruction of hip hop. So 50 has done a lot of great things as far as music goes and far as television goes and bringing art to the screen. And all of that stuff is commendable. But at the end of the day, if you're tearing down your own people and not doing that to the other people, then what does that make you? Because we know he had a beef with stars because he didn't get what he wanted as far as the television shows go. And that should have showed him what they thought about him. But 50, the biggest thing is, when you had a beef with stars, you allegedly leaked a finale TV show episode. You leaked one of those finale episodes, and that's what you did. But when you had beef with a Diddy, you released a whole documentary and put resources behind it. When you dissed Ja Rule, you got with Dr. Dre and Eminem and made diss records, and you made a whole album that went diamond. When you dissed um, a Nas and Fat Joe and Jada Kisses, you put resources out to do this, and you did all these things that cost money. But when you dissed stars, you did something free and you did something that was alleged, you didn't even put your name behind it. So when you go at the big wigs, the people who are not black, you make all these moves and put money behind it. But when you diss, your white counterparts, you don't do these type of antics, or at least it's not public, which it needs to be public if you're going to do it to the blacks and do it to hip hop, your own community. So what 50 Cent is doing is pretty disgusting. He's even aligned himself with Trump and all these different, all these different parties, um, just because he's talking about taxes and all these things, and people thought it was cute. But we're starting to see who 50 Cent it really is, and um and it's damaging to our people, and like it's just showing a different way, and if you're doing it, you're making it okay for others to do it as well. So if hip hop doesn't respect hip hop, who will? Because other people from country music and rock music are not going to respect us if they see 50 Cent openly doing it, especially to some of the hip hop moguls like a Jay-Z and Nas and Jada Kiss and Lil Wayne and Kendrick Lamar. If you're disrespecting these guys, other genres are not going to respect this as well. So you're creating a precedent that we don't want to see that's already been established. So tell me what your thoughts about 50 Cent and how he's tarnishing the hip hop and black community. Until next time, see you next time.